So
Recording is in progress.
thank you very much, Andrew. So as always, I do try to start these meetings with a land acknowledgement. I would like to say that we begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples and we recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we're committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on here in the Greater Toronto area is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, now home to many diverse peoples. We'd also like to acknowledge the land we're on here is at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. I want to note again that I do have a hard cutoff at 1 p.m. today, in about less than 2 hours now. But before we start, I do want to say some of the events coming up. Something that I missed, just found out a few days ago, the month of May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. I guess it is a worldwide event. So Mental Health Awareness Month, I will put some information into the chat that says mental health is wealth, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month, which is celebrated in May. The stigma around mental health and treatment has long existed, even though this has started to change. Still, people hesitate to seek help or even talk about it with their loved ones for fear of being judged. And apparently today is also African World Heritage Day. And so again, I will put in some information about that in the chat. It says, this day was proclaimed by the 38th session of the General Conference of UNESCO in November 2015. African World Heritage Day, May 5th, is an opportunity for people around the world, and particularly Africans, to celebrate the continent's unique cultural and natural heritage. And I write as well, why is the African World Heritage Day celebrated? Africa has several threats that other continents around the world do not have, from climate change, civil unrest, and instability to poaching. Many things in Africa are at risk of disappearing. And I wanted to note there's also an event going on in Accra, Ghana. Actually, I think it just finished. The Pan-African Heritage Museum virtual launch that took place from 1 to 2 p.m. GMT in Ghana, which was from 9 this morning till 10:30. And this is Africa's first digital museum showcasing the greatness of Africa's heritage. So the event was streamed live from the museum's website, which again, I will put into the chat along with the description and some of the comments that were made by the press release as well. And again, I noted for the past few weeks, some people consider this to be Earth Month. Or actually April was Earth Month. So I will skip that. So I will start my presentation at this time.
And Cinco de Mayo.
It is Cinco de Mayo. Okay, that's another one I don't have in my calendar. You should put that into the chat so I can remember it.
I did.
So let me just share my screen. Okay, as always, I do start the presentation by giving recognition to our supporters and sponsors, in particular Anchor Networks, as I call it now, the door opening network of the Global Unity Network. During these weekly Thursday Zoom calls committed to take place through to December 2023. So Andrew Networks also rebroadcasting production-ready episodes on AHIABGA.org domain, redirected to UCIT-TV site. Our logo indicates that this is 21 to 23 IGU Summit event. We do plan to deliver this Thursday events until the end of 2023 in alignment with the UN Global Compact vision and strategy, which is from 21 to 23. So again, I will put information into the chat as we move forward. The Maui Aloha Project, 5 Point Youth Foundation, the AHIABGA, the Future Lit Foundation, Global Peace Let's Talk, the American International Education Federation, EdFu Foundation, Conservancy Trust, Saga Foundation, LA Global Foundation, and a number of our logos are also shown on this page, including the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation and the Greater Unity Network, along with the Indigenous Unity Flag, the 4K Clubs, the HEFTA Matrix Partnership Template, and the UnityNet International logo. So there are many more as well that, as I say, I will put links into the chat. So, oops, I'm not clicking ahead far enough here. Sorry. It is Andrew Networks that donates our hosting and promotional support services. Andrew Networks is a brand, a domain name owned by ParXTC Export Trading Company, comprising the various social media channels, including TRN-TV, Universal Citizens Media Network, Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr., and many more. Andrew Networks is our primary sponsor, supporting the promotional ecosystem for the UnityNet initiative that continues through to December 29th, 2023. Andrew is our yes partner, helping to open doors so that members of the network are able to discover their inner selves and passions. Andrew Networks works with people who occupy the various nodes of our global Unity network so they can come together with the people of the network, acting like a net to support the dreams of our members, so they can leverage the passions and transform their visions of a better future for themselves and their communities into a reality that makes sense for both themselves and their communities, however they might define what a better future is collectively, as we seek to work together in partnership and leave no one behind. So again, Andrew Networks, I put that information into the chat. So Andrew also founded the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, advocates and activists, of which I am one. September 2019. Our focus is on localizing the Sustainable Development Goals during this decade of action and delivery on the SDGs from 2020 to 2030. Andrew did appoint me as Ad Hoc International Advisory Board representative for Canada, La Francophonie, and the Commonwealth of Nations, originally on January 1st, 2020, later appointed as representative for Turtle Island in 2021. Sorry. So I am Lloyd Halferty, this Chief Ecosystem Director, Program Development Director, Sustainable Society Consultant for Energized University, headquartered in Manhattan, located in the city of Markham in the Don River watershed, the German Mills Creek subwatershed, which drains into Lake Ontario, the lowest and last of the North American Great Lakes, in the Greater Toronto area of Southern Ontario, Canada. Energized University, a private 501(c)(3) nonprofit company in New York, a member of the UN Global Compact, a United Nations Academic Impact member and partner, a virtual university that was created to help empower our global populations to reestablish a sustainable balance with their local environments. So Energime is designing and implementing projects that support a strong and diversified local economy while integrating core sustainable technologies and infrastructure into the communities in the areas of renewable energy, high-density food growth, along with systems for sustainably managing local waste streams and local water resources. So Energime is supported by over 375 companies whose products and technologies we employ. Importantly, we also support education and training in the construction, deployment, and maintenance of all the integrated solutions for achieving closed-loop systems that support self-sufficient, sustainable communities. Again, my information in the chat. So I am also co-founder, administrator of the We Energize Global Cooperation Turtle Island International Civil Society organization, seeking to undertake life value, peace, education in the context of life learning gardens. This being an important part of our network as well. So I was also designated Goodwill Ambassador for the 5 Points Youth Foundation, Los Angeles, with a portfolio that covers Canada, La Francophonie, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Turtle Island communities. As a member of the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists, seeking to empower our communities to engage with royal, Indigenous, and tribal leadership, as well as helping local communities establish interfaith neighborhood, academic, and business collaboratives that will come together and pledge to support all of the local humanitarian entrepreneurs who are localizing the global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals, while we also seek ways to leave no one behind. Again, in the chat is some additional information. I am the co-founder of the Global Unity Network, also known as UnityNet, being established by UnityNet International, which helped create UnityNet Africa and Diaspora and all of the other global groups in Asia and the Americas and Europe. The Global Unity Business Group originally came together as a coalition of small businesses in order to establish, manage, and grow the Global Unity Network, now referred mostly as UnityNet. As a result of the original Global Unity Business Group, I had been describing it as a humanitarian enterprise and global sustainable and regenerative development corporation, supporting and promoting the local delivery of open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure set up as life learning gardens, along with a hybrid virtual learning platform we call the VCN, or the Interchange for Peace. But it's now being rebranded as UnityNet International, in alignment with our first continental chapter, UnityNet Africa and the Diaspora. So while the original Global Unity Business Group was created in order to formalize the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board process of globalization of the global goals, starting with the SDGs, being done with the establishment of the Global Unity Network, UnityNet. It includes the Unity Gardens and learning networks, along with so many other UnityNet nodes and chapters, which are all important components of this, what we call network of networks. The latest way that I describe who we are is as a network of people and organizations supporting the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board process of localization of global goals, currently the SDGs, and the global transition to a collaborative regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. Essentially, we are creating an empowerment network where all of our members, including the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, who are helping to implement the local regenerative climate smart solutions that are required to achieve a collaborative regenerative economy that leaves no one behind. It's important to note the existing social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, and LinkedIn groups that we're using right now are being used as a placeholder as we build the global network, prepare to launch, and where we'll eventually get all the people, companies, and nodes of the network onto the Interchange for Peace VCN, where they'll then be able to gain access to many tools and services that are available there, where they can much more easily collaborate in order to locally implement all of the globally coordinated real-world events, projects, enterprises, and infrastructure. So again, in the chat, I put some information about our social media. So the Global Unity Network, now UnityNet, was created to showcase global cooperation for the implementation of the local regenerative solutions for achieving the global goals, starting with the 17 SDGs. Our goal is to help uplift the traditionally marginalized communities that are mostly being left behind because the existing economic paradigm focused on making money for those who are already wealthy, extracting resources through exploitation of people and the natural world, and therefore the majority of people on Earth are mostly being ignored by our existing highly competitive economy. Our focus is thus on the billions of people who exist or subsist on the economic sidelines, where we intend to start our work by helping local communities deliver the various regenerative, local, climate-smart enterprise solutions that people and communities in some of the least developed countries, communities, and local economies require in order to thrive. As an entry point, we are focused in particular on those communities that are the most food insecure. some information in the chat. So UnityNet is promoting the delivery of a suite of practical solutions for achieving the global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals. During this SDG period until 2030, we are focused on using the tools of humanitarian entrepreneurship, focused on the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and enterprises, and using hybrid, virtual, and hands-on education and training and learning programs, platforms, and curricula with a primary focus on delivery of the various humanitarian entrepreneurship skills training in practical settings of practicum learning, along with leveraging open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions to remotely assist local INAP collaborative teams to establish local collaborative open source Unity Garden classrooms in all the local communities around the world. So the Unity Garden classrooms are set up in collaboration with existing schools in local communities and can be used for the local and remote and virtual delivery of the practicum learning programs for all of our FFHE members. So they can learn how to grow, process, cook, market, sell, and trade the various types of regenerative, climate smart food and related nutritional and medicinal and other types of locally produced regenerative products, both within their local communities as well as regionally, nationally, continentally, and internationally, in order to produce income and therefore prosperity for themselves and for the people in their own local communities, for all people on all continents, with again the intention to leave no one behind. So as we move forward, we also promote through our virtual social marketing all the members of our network. So we use all the various practical social media, networking, and trade tools, including those of the modern fourth industrial revolution, combining the wisdom of crowds with the deep Indigenous knowledge of our ancestors and living Indigenous people of the earth in order to learn from each other about how to share the abundance of this planet in order to create productive, regenerative, climate smart landscapes wherever we live, in and around each and all of our local communities. So our intention is also to help restore nature and biodiversity, ensure abundance for all, and ultimately restore the human connection to Mother Earth as proper stewards of our one and only beautiful planet. Important note of this network, the Unity Biodiversity Network. So the ad hoc International Advisory Board process of globalization of the global goals is intended to help everyone in each of their own local communities establish local teams of humanitarian entrepreneurs, as well as the local community support network, or as I call it, the empowerment networks, the INABCs that provide support and ensure the success of the local cooperative humanitarian enterprises, starting with the Unity Gardens, will be home and start to be established in each local community across our global network, most likely starting in Africa, but also here in North America and in Asia as well. So the process of establishing the local INAP collaboratives is done by taking part in what we call the Abraham Project, Tree of Peace and Reconciliation tree planting ceremonies that we plan to do on World Environment Day on June 5th, in 1 month from now, where the communities will also establish twin trees of peace and reconciliation and twin Unity Gardens. Will be done through what we call a CTB program, process of twinning the local community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprises, and also twinning the local community INAP collaboratives. So what we're building here is a global network of local INAP collaboratives, where all of the members of each local will be interconnected, watching over, talking to each other at the global level, where each will have a diverse set of members from the 7 different sectors of every community. If I could ask whoever it is to mute. So the INAP collaboratives are public, private, civil society, academic, interfaith, finance, and orange economy for the creative sector, who will also be watching, promoting, and helping each other, supporting those local female entrepreneurs in each local community who will be empowered by all of the members of the global network, where all activities are also intended to be transparent, and all members of the global network, including all members of the local INAP collaboratives, will also be accountable to and for the success of the local collaborative Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise. So the local female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who are living in the local communities fail to be successful as they build and run their local collaborative community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise, as long as they're dedicated to making it successful for all of the members of the community, and especially for those who are most marginalized in each of their own local communities. It will not be entirely on their shoulders alone, but rather such failure could also at least partially be blamed on the local community INAB collaborative members for not having lived up to their obligations to support and empower the local community humanitarian entrepreneurs who are building, operating, maintaining, and delivering all the various community programs, events, interventions, goods, and services that will be delivered in the context of their own local community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise. So I'm suggesting as well that every community Unity Garden humanitarian enterprise should also be established as a cooperative enterprise or business, where the idea is to set up the local community business as a co-op so that the burden of running the business does not fall entirely on the shoulders of any single entrepreneur, although different business models can be tried in order to determine what business models might actually work best. So again, in the chat, I do put some information about cooperative enterprise. So the local INAB collaboratives established at the local level, where we're leveraging our unique process of community engagement through the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation planting ceremonies, followed by ongoing community engagement and interaction through these regularly scheduled events throughout the year, including a coordinated bubble fun festival done in collaboration with the local INAB collaboratives, and the CTP program for twinning our community activities organized through tree plantings or other community infrastructure development projects or events. Then the Tea Diplomacy Initiative, a Dream Boards Initiative done in collaboration with the C4 group members, identification and engagement of local talent, artists, and creative people in the Orange economy locally for the purpose of promoting and showcasing their talent, and especially if they are promoting the globalization of the global goals and a collaborative regenerative economy. So we do this during some of our periodic sunlight spectacle and other edutainment events. So we will support, of course, any other programs or activities that may be developed in the context of the climate smart kitchens, gardens, forests, and other infrastructure such as the Wheel of Life farms and the Smart Learning Centers or the Climate Smart Learning Centers delivered by different organizations such as PodNet Co-op. So I reinserted this slide for those who may have seen this before. The local INAB collaboratives are now being expanded to try to include more critical partners, potentially including Bridges of Hope organization from Kenya, focused on the training of the FFHEs in the various regenerative and climate smart business and infrastructure solutions, and possibly also BIMA International, the Black Emergency Managers Association, which could help to bring together first responders, such as police, firefighters, paramedics, and local from the local community in order to help prepare the local entrepreneurs and enterprises position their businesses as hubs for taking action during emergencies or significant incidents that happen in the community, where I've also included a placeholder now for the virtual cultural exchange office of UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, established for the purpose of mutually supporting each of our own local communities, including the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and the rest of the local INAB collaborative members, wherever it is that each of us live. So again, into the chat, I put some additional information. So you may recall I once suggested that we might consider doing the Tea Diplomacy Initiative, which we have done on March 21st. During the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. March 21st, also World Poetry Day and the International Day of Forests. So we did include having conversations related to methods and processes of establishing or enabling and implementing solidarity with the people struggling against racism and racial discrimination, along with discussing some of the local poets and poetry that have influenced local cultures in each respective community, wherever participants in the virtual discussions might live. We also discussed the importance of establishing productive forests as biodiversity, polyculture, food forests, established as Unity Forest, Unity Gardens in all of our local communities, managed in partnership with local Indigenous people and all levels of government, every local community and country as an essential part of a process of practical reconciliation with all of the Indigenous peoples of the world, one country, one community, and one watershed at a time. I will now play for you the poem that was played during our first tea diplomacy event. It is about 2.5 minutes long, read by a poet by the name of Jack Black God, who is from a squatter EVC called Diesloop, north of Johannesburg in South Africa. Sorry, I just want to find the information in the chat here before I play the poem.
We are people of our own color. 7 seas and 1 big ocean. It doesn't matter how big, small, dark, light, Christian or not you are. We all come from the same origins. Origins that when we trace footprints lead us to the central heart of Africa. Because Africa should unite and nothing will bite. Instead, we will forever have peaceful nights. Africa uniting wouldn't be bad, instead you will never hurt. Trees! Allow me to be your garden at least, so that I could plant these poetical seed into your cultivated mind with business for all of activities. We are still enslaved to our own memories. Right now my broken, beaten bone skeleton wants to escape this flesh. My soul is rejecting this temple hospitality of one who You see, we were never told about the secret ingredients they used to cook this system. This system was cooked with a foresighted traditional pot, but we were never invited into the inns of financial taste. All you did, black child, was to feast on that racism that was served to you on a silver platter, so that mahinya, 7 colors, the shininess of it could blindfold you. Your I have fought has made deals for dessert. But what about the main meal, black child? We are still enslaved by our own memories. See, once upon a time there was I reciting poems with meaningless senses and unengineered sentence language construction. Therapy of my words wounded so many innocent souls, I'm lost in translation. Tongue clicks, Ubuntu transplant, guilty to innocent endless transformations. I'm so confused in my lost thoughts. Perhaps I'm losing it, isn't it? Yes, I've been here and they've all been there, distant relatives. 300 Spartans, the rise of my ancestors to you, godly amen. The last breathless word you would inhale. We are still enslaved by our own memories, yet we are 7 seas and 1 big ocean.
So we have completed our first virtual tea diplomacy initiative event on March 21st. During the tea diplomacy event, we did ask leaders and other high-level decision makers to sit down virtually and have a cup of tea with some of the UnityNet members at the grassroots who are living in and doing work in the various marginalized communities around the world. So the conversations that we did ask our participants to discuss during that first moderated virtual casual conversation between the sustainable development decision makers, professionals, and our grassroots members who are doing some of the on-the-ground work in the various local communities of the Global Unity Network were related to those three themes that I mentioned on the previous slide. So this event was co-hosted by the Global Unity Network, now called UnityNet International, which is building our network on behalf of the AHIABGA International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, the Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development, and Global Peace Let's Talk, along with the AHIABGA International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists. So at this point, I will also play the music of Luvia M, a song called Thu Lan Lisio. This is played. I will also put the translated lyrics of the song into the chat. The song, about 4.5 minutes long, is our new theme song for the Tea Diplomacy Initiative. We will play it as well as the poem at every tea diplomacy event. So thank you again, one more time, to our South African UnityNet South African friends for making these contributions to our last Tea Diplomacy Initiative event. I do want to mention all of the partners that did take part in the first Tea Diplomacy Initiative event, including Andrew Networks, the World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity, Saga Foundation, Gemma Productions, Re-Energize Global Cooperation, Turtle Island, Drawdown Markham Climate Change Solutions Education and Training Hub, Indigenous Global Unity Network, Carbon Shot Earth Sustainable Marketplace for Climate Solutions, Unity Women and Feminist Network, Tots and Kids South Africa, Jafoa Uganda, the National Federation of Women Farmers and Appropriate Technology Asia in Nepal, the Trilight Foundation in Malawi, the Soweto CSI Council in South Africa, Gemma Skaters Youth Development Program, Village Synergy in Uganda, the Global Unity Business Group, Humanitarian Enterprise, and Global Sustainable Regenerative Development Corporation, together with the 5 Points Youth Foundation, EdFood Foundation, Future Lift Foundation, and Cycle of Success. Again, I will put in some of those links into the chat as well. It might take me just a second to do that, because there are quite a few of them. And so we would want everybody to be able to have access to all of the information that is available for them. And the support can be provided by all of those partners. So I want to mention as well, we are planning to do at least 2 more Tea Diplomacy events this year, including the second one, which is coming up in a couple of weeks on Saturday, May 21st, International Tea Day, which is also the World Day for Cultural Diversity, for Dialogue and Development, which celebrates not only the richness of the world's cultures, but also the essential role of intercultural dialogue for achieving peace and sustainable development. For our next Tea Diplomacy Initiative event, we'll partner with UnityNet Culture and Diversity members who are supporting the UnityNet international plans to establish unique and culturally relevant local Unity Garden infrastructure projects that reflect local cultures of each country, community, city, or village. The third Tea Diplomacy event will take place on Saturday, June 18th, Sustainable Gastronomy Day, and we do plan on partnering with the Plant-Based Climate Smart Food Network, the South Markham Food Security Network, as well as the Virtual Urban Food and Farming Network, or our Urban Farming Network as well. So again, in the chat, I can put some information about International Tea Day, as well as the Unity Culture and Diversity WhatsApp discussion groups, and some information about Sustainable Astronomy Day, which is one of the dates for our third Tea Diplomacy Initiative event. As well, I am putting information about the Virtual Urban Food and Farming Network, so that people are aware of that, along with information about World Day for Cultural Diversity, for Dialogue and Development. Oops. Butterfingers here. So the second Tea Diplomacy event is live now. People can register to attend this event. We're also looking to develop more partnerships. So if you want to promote your local civil society organization, NGO, or humanitarian enterprise, feel free to contact me so that the Global Unity Network, or UnityNet, can also promote the work that you're doing to localize the global goals in your own local community. Again, in the chat is the link to the next event. So the collaborative events that we would like to do in 2022 are related again to the activities of the Global Unity 4K Clubs Network and the Unity Gardens Network. as well as our Unity Eco Village Network and Unity Biodiversity Network. The globally coordinated Abraham Project Tree of Peace and Reconciliation Showcase Project for global cooperation delivered locally in multiple local communities by members of UnityNet on World Environment Day, which take place Sunday, June 5th in 1 month, which will allow us to begin establishing the global network of local INAP collaboratives, the Interfaith Neighborhood Academic and Business Collaboratives that leads the way at the local level everywhere around the world to undertaking the globally coordinated events and activities that we plan to do for the rest of the year. Again, in the chat is some additional things. So the important launch event is followed by a second globally coordinated community bubble fun festival event that is designed to allow youth and families to have fun while they learn about the miraculous properties of bubbles, how to use bubbles to allow humanity to more easily adapt, perhaps even to thrive in a warming and changing global climate, especially in those areas of the world where the impacts of global warming and climate change will be felt the most severely, including here in Canada, especially in the north and in mountainous areas, as well as in places like sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. Some possible dates for the globally coordinated Bubble Fun Festivals between August 9th, which is International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, also the International Day of Solidarity with the Struggle of Women in South Africa and Namibia, or National Women's Day, and August 12th, International Youth Day, and August 19th, World Humanitarian Day, which opens it up to having this global Bubble Fun Festival on any date between August 9th and 19th, which is an 11-day window. So again, putting some appropriate links into the chat for people to follow. Some other key events that we want to take place are Global Cooperation Day, October 4th, through to World Food Day, October 16th. So we begin with the Ubuntu Summit virtual event on October 4th. We did last year as well. The day is the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi and the Blessing Animals Day, which are both celebrated by the Catholic faith communities. So again, in the chat is last year's Ubuntu Summit. The fourth event that we do is the Globally Coordinated Climate Smart Youth Forum, designed to allow youth and families from around the world to learn about the various regenerative climate smart agriculture and food solutions to support achieving SDG 2, Zero Hunger, circular regenerative economies that leave no one behind. They also learn about the Climate Smart Food Program, all of the various components of the ad hoc international advisory board process of localization of the global goals, and the smart virtual infrastructure, the Unity Gardens and the Interchange for Peace, VCN, that allows local communities to gain access to all of the learning programs, including the education, training, and support programs and networks, including even financial support systems that we have been promoting through the Global Unity Network, and will allow local community members and families to implement these local regenerative climate smart humanitarian infrastructure and enterprise solutions in the context of their own neighborhoods and communities wherever they might live. So the primary host of the Global Climate Smart Youth Forum 2022 event is intended to be Yali International of Nigeria, working in partnership with UnityNet Nigeria and UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, and many of the rest of the members of the Global Unity Network who may wish to contribute. So Yali International has two arms, Youth Education and Leadership Initiative, and is managed by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Amadou, Monday Amadou, from UnityNet Nigeria. Again, in the chat, I will put in some links to the relevant groups. And moving forward, the final optional event this year, still in the process of establishing our INAP collaboratives, of course, but to develop local teams, we want to come together to do a globally coordinated community tree planting event designed to establish 3D polyculture food forests in our local communities around the world, done in all of the local communities where we establish a local UnityNet INAP collaborative, and where the members of the local community partnerships actually wish to establish a unity forest, unity garden designed for delivering the global unity learning programs, such as the Tukitan EV Women Empowerment Program and the Global Unity 4K Club humanitarian entrepreneurship learning programs for educating young people, their families, and other community members about the various ways of achieving food and nutrition security goals, zero hunger, at the local level. We're also implementing so many of the other global goals, including SDG 13, climate action, SDG 15, biodiversity action or life on land, SDG 5, gender equality action, SDG 6, clean water action, SDG 7, clean energy action, SDG 16, peace actions, SDG 1, no poverty actions, and community enterprise solutions that leave no one behind. So the last globally coordinated community unity forest unity garden tree planting event could potentially be done during the proposed Climate Smart Youth Forum week, likely also to include a hybrid in-person and virtual conference event. So there are some links in the chat as well. I'm hoping that the previous links were working to send to everybody. So I wanted to note the Unity Gardens of the UnityNet encourage co-learning and intercultural collaboration, what is called two-eyed seeing. Unity Gardens are places where children especially, but families as well, are taught that no one being is greater than the next, that we are part and parcel of the whole, we are equal, that each one of us has a responsibility to the balance of the system, and as well an understanding that all of the world's species, including all of our bio and eco kin, have and I want to share with you as well in the chat some of the links to the concept of two-eyed seeing, or AHIABGA guiding principle for intercultural collaboration. So I also want to mention the UnityNet International Honey Project proposal for the Russley Poverty Alleviation Pilot Projects managed by the Russley Institute in collaboration with Global Unity Network and the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors. So the Unity Honey Project designed to demonstrate the production of certified climate smart honey produced from wildflowers grown on restored landscapes, such as former mine sites or other industrial or currently degraded lands, in order to produce abundance and revenue from what was once wasteland. So the Unity Honey Project is a bee honey harvesting project intended to support the Science for Peace program of food certification and demonstration of what are called PAGI payments, paid to the producers of certified products produced by female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, especially in support of and in partnership with these local Indigenous communities. The Unity Honey Project is designed as something that could potentially be universally applied in a number of different jurisdictions, no matter what country or continent or local community. So the project ties into the Abraham Project process of integrating the CTP program for twinning or thraining or quadrinning our local communities into the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board localization process, starting with the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation and the undertaking of local community ceremonies, helping to bring together all of the 7 local partners that will establish the local INAP collaboratives in each local community, who will from that moment forward be dedicated to empowering the local FFHEs who work closely together with the members of the local INAP collaboratives. Again, putting some information about Honey Project into the chat. So before we sign off, I wanted to invite our guest speaker to join us. I wanted to share with everyone a message of our education system from a gentleman by the name of Rad Swami. And I will play a video in about 5 minutes long, containing many important messages about things like compassion, kindness, integrity, inner beauty and happiness, character and values, leadership and success, love, hope, and an understanding of the true meaning of success. So this video is something that Dr. Amadou reminded us as well recently, that the process of change is like revival. And together we can indeed make the world a better place, where positive change begins with you and I, and everyone can start something small and still be able to create the kind of change the world needs, each one helping one. Where the world goes round, it can be made free from social problems. So I will play this video now.
What is happening to our system of education? It is said 50 years ago, some of the major problems in schools included sticking chewing gum under tables, talking in class, and missing deadlines. Today, our schools face gun and knife crime, bullying, and dangerous levels of stress, drug abuse, depression, and suicide. To effectively address the serious challenges that our children face, we need to consider not only the problems with individual students, but the very system of education that they are subjected to. Academic intelligence may make a child successful in the world, but compassion will make them useful. When we teach values alongside academics, we will find the children will be much happier, more successful, and will develop into great leaders that will change the future of our world. The word education is derived from the Latin word educare, which means to lead out or to bring out from within. Education is actually about bringing out the unique individual potential of every child, teaching them how to approach the hurdles, shortcomings, and setbacks of life, while empowering them to be vehicles of love and hope for the world. It is said, if you lose your wealth, you lose nothing. If you lose your health, you lose something. But if you lose your character, you lose everything. Without stressing these truths, the opposite will be understood by default. That is, if you lose your character, you lose nothing. If you lose your health, you lose something. If you lose your wealth, you lose everything. It should be a top priority of our education system to ensure that our children get this right. Imagine an education system where children are taught that the only time we should look down on someone is if we can help them up. Imagine a system where children are taught to judge beauty by what is within people's heart, not by their physical appearance. Imagine a system where character is given as much importance as competence, where children are taught that helping 1 billion people is even more valuable than being a billionaire, where as well as learning to raise their standard of living, they are also taught to increase their standard of giving, where children are taught to measure their success by how happy and fulfilled they are, and not how many letters they have after their names. An education system where developing intelligence goes hand in hand with developing compassion. Imagine if, as well as learning the history of our world, they are given the skills to change the future of it. Imagine if, as well as learning to navigate the world, they learn how to navigate their own minds. This is not an imagination. It is possible if we genuinely begin to value kindness over competence, character over success, and integrity above money, and in this way change the system in which our children grow and learn.
So I wanted to mention as well, we in the Global Unity Network, through UnityNet International, are promoting humanitarian entrepreneurship and a future regenerative economy, which encompasses the concept of a collaborative entrepreneurship, collaborative economy, collaborative businesses, cooperatives, and such types of businesses. A part of that, the empowerment networks we are building in all of the local communities through the ceremonies of the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation are intended to support and empower such types of local community cooperative enterprises. And of course, the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who wish to establish and operate them. So we believe that a collaborative regenerative economy can achieve far more positive outcomes for far more people far faster than a purely competitive economy as it exists today. Of course, to keep inflation in check, there needs to be some competition within sectors, especially for those who are providing the same or similar goods and services in the same community. But we encourage what we call coopetition rather than pure competition, which has a winner takes all mentality. We would like our members to support each other's mutual success so that no one is left behind. In other words, we call this Ubuntu in business. So I put in as well a link, sorry, a little bit slow, to the We Energize Global Cooperation Turtle Island organization. So in connection with our global objectives, we are looking at good, simple global UnityNet values that we want to be continuously promoted alongside the humanitarian entrepreneurship that were stated in that video. In other words, life, value, peace, education. What I wanted to mention today about the Global Unity Network, or UnityNet, and our members is that we support people, our humanitarian entrepreneur members in their communities, and of course, all our relations, not corporations or faceless entities that lack empathetic souls. So this ends the opening of our IGU Summit for this week. Going to see, do we have our guest speaker, Paul Maluluke, on the line with us?
Well, Lloyd, I'm going to end recording now and start again. Give me just a moment, please.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't see him